particularly when I don't enjoy comedy shows.
Say hello,
You wave
friends.
hello?
Oh, look, they're waving to you.
Mommy.
Yeah.
Yes, mommy.
Oh, look, there's your new friends.
Hello, friend. That one
Oh,
here?
see, look, she's playing with you. She's playing with you.
Yeah. You blow kiss? Mwah.
Oh, see?
That's so kind.
Oh, yeah, you guys are playing.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. Yay.
Oh, see, she's playing with you. You guys are having fun. So intergenerational virtual play. Ooh, and then this is our teacher. He's really amazing. Oh, look, he's playing with you too.
Let's see if
He's doing peekaboo. Look. See peekaboo. You peekaboo. Yeah.
Tata.
Oh,
Hi.
that's lovely.
Welcome everyone, and to the Saturday Coaching Club. And put your feet on the ground and take a moment, arriving, landing, present. Here we go. Just settling, grounding. Feeling this simple feeling of being. You can just for this moment drop everything else as best you can. Just landing, arriving. And feel your spine and your center line. This orientation to alignment, returning to oneself. And it's okay if there's other things present. But equally, notice that when we do it in a field like this, that every time one person does it, it makes it easier for others and then others and then others to follow along. We get to support each other and bootstrap each other into the simple feeling of being ourselves. Okay, and with that in mind, gently open your eyes. And for the time that we're together, for a couple of hours, 2.5 hours, it's the permission and the openness to let what happens here, because we can interpret our world according to the lenses we look through. And so if you think, attend right now in this moment what you came for, what you would like to have happen, what evolution you would like to have. Firstly, what paradoxes, contradictions, dilemmas that you'd like to have eased, resolved, transcended, and included. And then I've been thinking this week a little bit about the difference between, what's pervasive in our Western world in terms of change work is a kind of psychotherapeutic mindset rather than a kind of learning mindset. And I'll say something about that in a minute. And that it's an orientation, that it's one option of many when it comes to change work. All right. So, few new people, few new names. Thank you for coming. So this is an opportunity here. I might say a few things, do a little bit. It's really what kind of shows up in the space around. Yes, exactly. Therapeutic mindset, and it's not to say that therapeutic doesn't mean learning, because all of these overlap, but they are priorities or lenses, preferences. Actually, let me just say something. The main thing I mean there is the cause and effect model, which is if I know why something is broken, that's kind of, I'm talking about a mechanical scenario like a car, then I know where to put my attention, I know where to fix it. And we'll talk about how dynamic systems like human beings that can work, and it absolutely is valid. And there are other options too. All right. So think about the next couple of hours and the fact that this moment in time has never existed, never happened before. You don't know what might have changed last night when you were sleeping and dreaming. And something, because epiphanies, realizations, shifts in life have to happen sometime, right? So how do you know that maybe last night when you were sleeping, something's prepared you and you're ready to make that shift? And so when we relax our expectations of the future being like the past, then maybe that moment is in the next 2 hours, and many moments maybe. And what that requires is sort of openness, a relaxation, a liminal space in your nervous system, which is this not too tight, not too loose. I used to date this, she was a cello player, cello teacher as well. And she used to say with the students, some of them, they grip the bow too tightly, and others, they don't grip it tightly enough. And it's that middle ground where we're doing it and it's happening at the same time, right? We're selfing and being selfed or being lived at the same time. All right. So, we'll have a little check-in to begin with. This is just an opportunity. Maybe I should say who I am then, seeing as I've got a few new people here, who I'm pretending to be today. That's not a good thing to say because people think that you're being fake. But, this character, Jim Carrey said that he had like 110 characters he would play in his movies. And then one day he realized that he needed to add one to the list, which was Jim Carrey was also a character. He was manifesting into reality, right? Dreaming oneself into being, right? So a little bit of background. So this whole Saturday Coaching Club is an open opportunity to experience some coaching, some change work, let's call it, from this field that I'm calling developmental mastery. And it's born out of 20, 25 years of needing change modalities for myself. So early in my life, kind of hypervigilance, frightened of the world, reactive, defensive. Took me ages to get over things. And I guess these days they call it HSP or something like that, or some other diagnosis, right? But basically, I was unhappy and I wanted to fix it. So, and of course, my attitudes have changed since then. But what has remained the same is recognizing that human beings need different kinds of modalities and methodologies and approaches because we are complex. And one modality like just attachment theory or just an awakening practice or just what's your own energy by itself isn't as effective as having a few kind of tools in the toolkit or strings to your bow. Is that a phrase? Strings to your bow? Yeah. Okay, good. All right. So my background is went to school, came home, went to school, came home, went to school, came home, got all A's, made the parents happy, went off to Cambridge University, but I was miserable. So I was having my first quarter life crisis, I think. Oh, well, my quarter life crisis. So I did all of that, and then I got a degree, and I went into oil and gas and into consulting, but I was never really happy with that. Right. And during my 20s, that's when I really started this personal development journey. And like many people, it's because I was suffering and I didn't want to suffer. And then it gradually shifted in my 30s to kind of going, well, okay, but what about all these Zen people and these mystics, and what are they saying? And how come, they're talking about some kind of ultimate truth or ultimate reality? I want to know what that is. That seems like a good, fun project. So I went and found mystics and people like that. And so I've tried a whole bunch of different modalities over the last 20 years and been incredibly lucky to meet some incredible change workers and gifted healers during that time. So the idea here is that rather than one model, that we have a few different approaches to change work. So stage development, which is Piaget was child development, and then Terry O'Fallon and Robert Keegan and various others, Suzanne Cook-Greuter, continued that into, and Ken Wilber continued that into adult development. How we relate to others, how we evolve. We are a process, an evolving self. Absolutely critical. How do we regulate, manage our emotions in a way that doesn't suppress or control them, but equally, can we have our emotions? So what that means is we're not afraid of them, we're not scared of them, we're not trying to suppress them. We can be who we are, which has a lot to do with knowing your own authentic energy, which is the premise is that there are energies that are yours, energies that are not yours, right? This is why we need to separate it from an awakening practice, because in the later stages of awakening, there is no separation. Everything's one, right? But if you carry that into normal, waking, everyday, regular interactions, this leads to terrible boundaries. This was my issue at the beginning, right? Some part of me was up here somewhere and floating off in space, and I wasn't properly grounded, and having healthy boundaries and being able to meet each realm of existence, if you like, on its own terms. Then we get into the area of many people are not quite living their own lives because they're living out the patterns of their family, their society, their heritage. But Hellinger, who was a family systems constellations therapist, said there are suffering obligations of love, which is we continue patterns from others that we grew up with, we grew up around, to show that we love them, that we are one with them, that we are the same as them. And this is fantastic until it gets to the point where if your energy or your eros, your drive to be yourself is stronger than that, then there's some kind of clash, and now there's resolution to be had between those. Okay. Then we want to, rather than doing change work kind of just at retreat centers, how do we bring this into our lives? This is something I'm really passionate about, which is how do we embody and live these things? I would rather we knew less and lived more of it than knew more and didn't, I suppose. All right. And then we can get into manifestation, reality creation, which is a lot of taking the right actions. But something odd does start to happen as we start to realize this world is not just physical and then separately psychological, that the world is psychophysical, that without cognition and perception and consciousness, we don't experience anything. So nothing arises without consciousness of it in experience, let's just say. And then this is when we lead to an awakening practice and what all the mystical traditions have had to say to us about that. All right. So